Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into another episode of Capturing the Games, the Game Within the Game podcast, featuring me, your host, Desmond Jones, and my man's, the one and only Polo Man, Juwan Stewart. Today, we got another outstanding guest. I can't tell you how much it means to have this lady on the podcast today. She is the COO of Indiana Fever. Her name is Allison Barber. Allison, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Desmond. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
No, thank you so much. But yeah, let's go ahead, jump right into it. Go ahead, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, Desmond, I'm originally from Indiana, born and raised. I started off as a first grade school teacher in Northwest Indiana. So if any of your listeners are from the region, that's where I hail. And I taught school for 6 years. My husband was an attorney in Maryville, Indiana. Then the first Gulf War broke out in the 90s, and he came home one day and said, I really want to serve the country. And I thought that was awesome and noble. We're so grateful that have a country of people who volunteer to serve. So my husband and I both quit our jobs and we left Indiana to follow his passion of being in the military. So he joined the Army. We moved to New Jersey, and then I got a job offer with the American Red Cross in Washington, D.C. And so we moved to Washington, D.C. and spent 20 years in D.C. And then 11 years ago, God just put it on my heart that, it was time to come home to be with family. And we moved back to Indianapolis. We'd never lived here. We'd always been in the region. Loved it. We weren't sure how that would be coming back from D.C. in 20 years to Indiana. And it was just great. And I had the opportunity to start WGU Indiana, our state's nonprofit online university. So I was a chancellor there. When I was in DC, I worked at the Red Cross, I worked at the Pentagon, I worked at the White House, had my own business, taught at the adjunct at Georgetown, just had a really robust and fulfilling career in DC. But then was happy to come home and try and do some good things here in our state. Started WGU, and we started with 200 students. We grew to over 10,000 working adults trying to get that bachelor's or master's degree. And then got a call on a Friday afternoon, and president of Pacer Sports and Entertainment asked me if I'd come over and consider being the president of the Indiana Fever. And that happened 2 years ago, and I did it and have been on a great ride ever since.
Cool. All right. So I got a question. So you said you work for the government and in DC. So how was the feel in DC? Like, I mean, I'm not saying if you knew any like top secrets, but how was all that? Like, I'm just curious.
Well, when I worked at the Pentagon, I did have, top secret clearance. I worked in public affairs for the Secretary of Defense, Secretary Rumsfeld, and then Secretary Gates. And then when I moved to the White House, I stood up the Office of Global Communication. That's our team was responsible for that, which then led me to taking several trips to Iraq and to Gitmo. And so the feeling of the work I did in Washington was purposeful, intentional, and and stressful. I've never been as busy and as motivated and challenged as I was during those 7.5 years, but it was satisfying.
Gotcha. And me being from I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana, so I'm Indiana native myself. So I guess it's cool to hear someone's different story from Indiana and seeing where you ventured to and come back. And you're originally from Gary, so like. Gary is known for not the best place. So like, can you go into a little bit of that? Like being from Gary, like, people know Michael Jackson's from Gary and vice versa. Now we can add another key name to that list of Garyans.
I often get added to the same list as Michael Jackson. That's a first. I like it. Let me tell you about Gary, and I now pivot to why it's so important that people work hard to keep Fort Wayne vibrant and Indianapolis vibrant and every city vibrant. Gary was an amazing city.
Exactly. Yes.
And my great grandparents were Assyrian, where our nationality is considered extinct because we don't have a country, but we were Assyrians from Iran. And so my great grandparents came through Ellis Island to Gary, Indiana, because of the great jobs. And so I always have a heart for immigrants. I went down to Camp Atterbury and to help out with the Afghan immigrants that were, hosting there. Like, I just love that story of people can come to this country. My great grandparents spoke no English, and people helped them create. My one grandfather worked in the steel mills. My other grandfather was an entrepreneur, had his own great grandfather painting business. But Gary was vibrant and relevant. So, that was kind of the place to be back in the day when my great grandparents immigrated to Gary. So it's sad to see that, a lot of people have worked hard to bring it back and to restore it to where it used to be. But it really takes the people who live in those cities and those communities to want it more than anybody to make that happen. But it was a good place. We lived in Miller. I was born in Gary. We lived in Miller and then moved to Portage and then Cherville. But I just, I have a special place in my heart for people in the region. They're straightforward. They work hard. Boy, if I had an image of my great grandparents, and the lesson they taught us in life is that hard work pays off, not prestige. Like, I think they would be shocked to know that their great granddaughter ended up working at the White House, and you know what, they would have been proud of me, but they wouldn't have cared because it was about hard work. Hard work pays off, and do good work wherever you go. So it was a good place to grow up.
So I guess let's go back to the White House and government and all that type. So with your current position that you do now versus the White House, like, how do they simmer? Like, how are the similarities, or how different are they, like, role wise?
Yeah, they're very different. In sports, your job is to provide entertainment and enjoyment,
right?
Do good in the community through your platform of sports. In the government, at those levels, you're shaping national and international policy and defending the freedom so that people can go to sports games and enjoy life and, make choices and stand up for what they believe in. So the government work is very different. But let me tell you what's the same are the people that you work with. And when I came to sports, people said, "Oh, sports is different." And I was like, people are people. What do people want? People want to get up every day and go to a place to work where they are valued, they're trusted, they can trust the people they work with. And every day you're advancing the ball to do something good and impactful. And so in that way, government, although on a different scale and not as much fun as sports, the reason why I was so intrigued to become the president of the Fever was because I liked the idea of using a platform to try to do good work in the community. And I thought sports was really a great entree to that.
Yeah, I definitely believe so as well. What was it like when you received that? You say you received a phone call. Like, did your face lit up like, oh my goodness, like, yo, I got a phone call from the president of this organization. They want me to come in and be the CEO. What was that conversation like at that time?
Well, at the time, I thought he was joking. It was so odd. It was, just came from nowhere. And so I actually just kind of laughed. I was like, and he's like, just come talk to us. But I love the game of basketball. I've played it since I was, in fourth grade. My parents bought me my first hoop. I still have the video of the Christmas day where I got my first basketball. It's the game I've
That's
loved.
awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I would have gotten a call from a random NFL team or a soccer team, I like those sports, but I probably wouldn't have done that job because it wasn't my passion, my sport passion. Now, I never got to play in school. I went to a small Christian school. They didn't have sports for girls. So I played my driveway all my life, and I just loved the game. So when I realized Rick was serious about the conversation, I said, absolutely. And just, I was intrigued by the challenge. The Fever had won a championship with Tamika Catchings. She retired, the coach retired. The franchise was kind of had lost its momentum. I like a good challenge. I realized, similar to you, I didn't grow up in Indianapolis. So I realized that people outside of Indy might not even know we have a professional women's basketball team. And so I like the challenge of building the brand for the Fever all over the country. I mean, all over the state. I think I want girls all over this. Think of all the girls playing basketball in grade school, junior high, and high school, and they don't even know that their home state has professional female basketball players because we spread the word. So I just love that challenge of building our brand in all 92 counties. So that's really been fun. So I was surprised by the call, but I was thrilled with the opportunity.
And you said challenging, so let's unpack it. Well, how this season, I guess, wasn't the greatest. I mean, I'll put it out there.
No,
Yeah, I'll put it out there. So I guess what's your mindset going into? I mean, I'm hoping for, get back to the promised land. If we can get there, that'd be great. I guess what's the next steps? Like where are you going with it next?
Well, I think it, goes a little bit back to your question of what the similarities or differences of being in government or nonprofit work and sports.
Yeah,
and this is
right.
what's the same, is that you have to set a goal,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to set a realistic plan to accomplish that goal. And even if it's a stretch goal. So our goal is to win a championship in 3 years.
Okay.
Win a championship in 3 years. Now, we're not saying we're going to win it next year, because that would be unrealistic. And this is what sometimes entrepreneurs or optimistic people, of which I am, a devout optimist, but sometimes they overshoot, and then your goal's not attainable. So our plan is we'll win in 3 years, which means we need to make the playoffs this coming season. So we just are breaking it down piece by piece, just like you would with a business plan. Where are opportunities? Where are gaps? In sports, you can either grow talent. So who are our core players that we can develop? You can draft talent. We'll have 2 first-round draft picks. And then you can buy talent. Who are the free agents that we should go after? So it's a methodical approach to say, okay, where are our gaps, and how do we build a team that works in concert? And then also for us, it's how do you also attract the right players that believe what we believe? So in the Fever, we talk about our 3 C's: commit, compete, and contribute. We want to win on the court, and we want to win in the community. So that means you have to pick the right players for that too.
It's very true. Very true.
Yeah, I love the 3C's approach, because it's all about what we do on the court, but also what we do off the court. At the end of the day, the game ends. The shot clock goes off, the buzzer go off, and there's more to life than just the minutes that they spent on the court. And there's so much of an impact in the community that that's out there. Like you said, there's women out there that's in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, don't even know that there is a professional women's league out there. Like they could be the
next.
Players they could be the next, but the players could be the inspiration to those that are looking to pursue that career. So I love the 3C's.
Yeah. Well, and the average female player in the WNBA only plays 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So unlike in NFL and NBA, where not even the top elite players, the good players will play for multiple years.
Right.
We're always thinking about that at the W's. How do we prepare our athletes to be successful in this chapter, but still, building into them the tools for their next career, because that will be their reality.
Absolutely. I do want to ask about the CEO one position again, though. I want to ask, what are some of the things that you had to learn while you've been on a job, and what's something that you may have wished you knew going in that you discovered during the process?
Well, I think so. I have 2 titles, president and COO. So the president piece is about building our brand and raising awareness and connecting communities to the Fever. The COO is part of the job, is the nuts and bolts in the business of it.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that the WNBA teams were still, they're 20, the league is 25 years old. So it's the oldest professional female league, sports league.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? So you think about when the NBA was about 25 years old, they would have around 35 to 4,000 fans at an NBA game. So in that way, the WNBA teams are tracking. I didn't know that there was such a gap in fandom of male sports and female sports, and such a gap in fandom around college women's basketball and women's professional basketball. So that I didn't know. So I probably started my career here thinking, oh, if we only do these 5 things or 6 things, we'll build more fandom. And after doing a ton of research and spending time in this job for 2 years, it's like, no, those those skills, those are not going to move the needle. We have to figure out different approaches.
Yeah, so I mean, I work in engineering, so a lot of times we always just try different things. Like, all right, we got this grand scheme approach. Oh, we just got to do this, and this going to work. And then come to find out, it just doesn't work. So it's like all back to the drawing board again. So I mean, I think that's just part of every aspect of life that you go through. No matter what you're doing, whatever job title it is, there's always stuff you like that you throw out the wall, and sometimes some stuff stick and some stuff just doesn't stick.
Yeah. And I think that's where sports is such a great analogy for every other career and for life. So, you do the same thing at the free throw line, and 82%, the WNBA, they make 82% of their free throws, but that means that they're not always working. Like you run a play that worked in the first quarter and you run it in the second quarter, and the other team got smarter on their defense and they prevent that play from working. So, these are if you read any of Thomas Friedman's work too, he talks about the future, the success of people in this generation will be the people who are who have adaptability. Like, how do you adapt? And boy, we really had to learn that through COVID and all of that. It's like the people who were good at adapting, and sports is great. That's why I want every kid to play basketball. It's the number one sport to develop psychological well-being. So I look at that as a former school teacher and say, man, what if we got every kid playing basketball? It helps develop psychological well-being. Wouldn't that be a great gift to our community and to our kids? So, I mean, sports is just so good for all of those things,
Gotcha. Now, I'm gonna shift some gears here. I'm gonna go to, so Governor Holcomb gave you an award in 2019. Walk us through, like, what did you expect that? Did you know it was coming, first off? And congratulations as well.
Thank you.
But talk us through it. Like, how did that feel?
It felt great to receive the Sagamore of the Wabash Award from Governor Holcomb. When I moved back to Indianapolis, that was the first time I'd ever even heard of that award that was given by the governor. And I saw people receive that award. And in the back of my mind, I thought, oh man, wouldn't it be so humbling and special if I could put my hand to something that work would be meaningful enough to be a recipient of the Sagamore Award. And so I didn't set out to win it. I set out to do work that would be worthy of it.
Right.
And so in hopes that it would be evaluated to be worthy of it, that someone else would say this made a difference for our state. And when I left WGU, so I started that and was there for 8 years. We were able to really make a difference. My team and I were, in the lives of so many Hoosiers, and that was great. But so when I left to go to the Fever at our farewell party, I was awarded the Sagamore. And so it was really touching to me and humbling and satisfying too. I think I'm a competitive person, just like you guys are too. And it's like, if I'm going to go for something, I'm going to work hard, not to win an award, but to do work that's worthy of an award. And that's an important distinction. And I hope that comes across in what I'm sharing.
Yeah, I definitely believe it does come across in what you're sharing. What types of advice could you or would you want to give to like folks, I'll say my generation, but just anybody in general, for people that's either pursuing a path or a career path in sports, or whether it's the government related or anything? What type of advice would you want to offer or give back?
Because I think the first piece of advice I would give to anyone who listens is don't limit yourself. I'm in my 8th career, not job, but career. And that suits me and my personality. Some people, they would just collapse with that idea, because it means that every 6 to 8 years, I'm starting from zero and have to learn a whole new industry. And that works for my personality. But the point is, people shouldn't limit themselves. So often people say, oh, that looks great, but I don't have this, or I don't have that background or that experience. If there's something that you're interested in doing, you ought to go for it. And everything I've gone for, whether it was in public relations, in my own business, or advertising, or Red Cross, or even a chancellor, I always, once I landed something, I always went and got an extra certificate to help, upskill myself in that space. So I think education is probably the best. We're so fortunate in America that whatever you want to learn, you can learn it here. There's always, an opportunity.
Google University.
Yes. So I think that's my advice to people is don't limit yourself. We get one shot at this life. If you're interested in one career field, you wouldn't want a brain surgeon that jumps from career to career like I do. Like that wouldn't give you any confidence. You want somebody that this is what they do and they're an expert at that one thing. But don't limit yourself, and then surround yourself with really, really good people that will give you advice. They'll support you when you're trying something new. They'll help you think about things in a different way. That's important for me because I keep changing industries. So I have to surround myself immediately with people that understand this new industry and can help me, get up to speed quickly. So be bold. I always, I like to tell people what my dad used to tell me at the basketball hoop in grade school. You'd always say, take it to the hoop, kid, take it to the hoop. And he was probably telling me to get closer so I would make it. But that really has been the drive of my entire career is if you take it to the hoop, it means you're playing offense, which I love offense. My vice president, Tamika Catching, is known for her defense. I'm an offense player. Taking it to the hoop means you are willing to drive, you're going for the goal, you're willing to get fouled, you're willing to get knocked down. You're willing to miss in front of everybody a shot that you should make because you're so close. So it's risky, but it's this motivation of like, I know where my goal is and I'm driving to it and I'm taking it to the hoop.
Hashtag take it to the hoop.
Hashtag take it to the hoop. Let's go.
Take it to the hoop.
That's the title of the episode. Take it to
Take
the
to
hoop.
the hoop.
Let's go.
But Allison, man, just due to the time and stuff, we want to make sure that we honor your time with us because we really appreciate you coming on. We're going to go ahead and switch gears and go into our rapid fire segment, in which we call the game within the game. So my question for you is, are you ready to play?
Let's go.
All right. So let's get to it. So first question is, do you prefer chocolate chip cookies or oatmeal raisin?
Chocolate chip cookies.
Yes. Back on track. We're back on track. That's A5, Desmond. That's A5. I'm telling you, A5.
That's okay.
If you would have said Oreos, that would have been my go-to.
Oh, no. Oh, well, that's fine. That's
Okay.
close. That's close enough to a chocolate chip cookie. I'm okay with that. That's okay. All right. So, TV shows or movies?
Ooh. Stop that noise there. Sorry. TV shows or movies? Like movies in a theater? If it's movies in a theater, it's movies in a theater. If it's television, it's probably still movies.
Okay, so what's your favorite movie or top 5 movies?
Top 5 movies.
Yeah.
This is when you're going to see how, like, what a bore I am. Sound of Music, Father of the Brides,
Okay.
Big Fat Greek Wedding,
Okay.
Cary Grant in Mr. Lucky, and American President.
Okay.
6 would be You Got Mail.
Okay.
Romantic comedy. I'm built for the Hallmark Channel. Let's just be honest.
That's how my mom is, so I can't even say much. I can't
Right?
say much at all. I can't say anything.
I
They
felt
got
like
some
my
good
mom.
little stuff.
Yeah, I felt like my
After I
mom
worked,
just read off
after
her
I
list.
worked in the Pentagon, I quit watching any movies with horror, blood, suspense. It's like, nope, tap it out. I want happiness, love and happiness.
Okay, so who's your favorite actor or actress?
Cary Grant
Okay.
and Katharine Hepburn, classics.
Boom. Boom. All right.
Take it to the hoop. All right. All right. I feel as though I probably can't ask this question, but it's a typical question, dude. No, don't even do it. Okay.
No, you can. I would just curious to see the answer, but I mean, I'm pretty sure I know what she's gonna say. But go ahead.
The next question that we would typically ask is, who's your top 5 in the WNBA? But I know due to your current position and stuff, you may not be able to answer or say those because of the ramifications of saying or ousting such information. So
Yeah, it would be hard for me to pick the top 5 current players, but I mean, I get to work every day with Tamika Catchings, the legend, and that's we have so many great talented athletes today, and we have several on our team, which I'm proud of, but naming 5 would be hard.
I understand. So with that being said, if you can go pro in any sport other than basketball, what would it be?
Golf.
The second person that done said golf.
Although I just learned how to play pickleball last weekend, and I'm kind of into it.
See, I can't get into pickleball, but
I love the game of golf.
So what's your average par to par?
Oh no, I'm terrible. I took 2 lessons. Terrible. I know. That's why I have to stay in a desk job. I'll never be an athlete, but I have a good time, and I love golf because it's this individual competition. Like you're competing against the ground, the course
yeah,
yourself.
Yeah.
There's a ton of integrity in that game. Like it's fun. But I'm bad. I'll get better. It's not happening yet.
That's okay. Practice make perfect. Take it to the hole.
Take
it to the hole.
Whatever.
My goodness. So what is your favorite sports moment that you have ever seen or witnessed?
I wasn't there, but I watched it on TV with lots of other people when Enrique hit the buzzer beater for Notre Dame's women's game to win the championship, to win the final game and to win the final game. That was just pure magic.
That was definitely pure magic. That's one of the common ones that most people answer with. So, and I know I've gone back and watched the highlights of that, and like just phenomenal shots.
Well, them the shots heard around the world to a degree. Like that was just, I mean, she did it at the biggest time, the biggest pinnacle of you do the NCAA tournament twice. Like,
right. Yep.
It's nothing else to really say about that at that point.
That's right. But she said she practices that shot all the time. And I think that's the beauty of sports is, this is what Aristotle says. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, it's a habit. And so you look at Enrique, it's what did she repeatedly do? Practice that shot. And so she was excellent in that moment. She wasn't lucky. She was excellent.
I'm gonna start using that. I'm gonna start using that. Yeah.
That's a nugget right there for us.
Right, it's a nugget. Yeah, I'm gonna start using that.
Mm-hmm. Aristotle, Michael Jackson, and me. This has been a great podcast.
What's the last book that you've read?
I just finished Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0, Jim Collins. It's a great book on leadership and developing teams. And then I just finished the masterclass with Gino, the coach from Connecticut. Also very good. But Beyond Entrepreneurship was really good.
What was your biggest takeaway?
Boy, there were a lot of takeaways. That's interesting. I think the strength of a team and how you build a team it's probably spoke the most to me because I keep changing careers. So I have to figure out how to adjust and build teams. And really that having people that believe in the purpose of the work you do is so critical to a successful team. And just because people come to work every day, they might come to work every day because they love sports, but do they really believe in the vision, the 3 C's vision, and that's the job of the leader, just to really inspire people in a way to capture that. And that's so the book he talked about that, and that was very good for me to think about.
I'm always curious to hear how people view different leadership things and understanding.
Takeaway from Gino's masterclass, he said, if a player, when he says to a player, what do you want me to know about you? If the player says, oh, I hate to lose, he's not interested in that player. If the player says, oh, I love to win, he's interested in that player. Now, this applies to business too. That's why I love sports and business. If you if you hate to lose, you're always going to be risk averse because you don't want to lose. If you're playing to win, you're risk tolerant. And that's the same in business. Like I'm pitching partnerships all the time, and people are like, you're never going to get that big partner. You don't have enough fans. You don't have, I'm like, I'm risk averse. I'm playing to win. And we do need big partners, so I thought that was a really good mindset.
That is a different mindset to have. And I'm always, now I'm gonna start, saying whatever I'm doing, I'm here to win, here to conquer, here to dominate. So, all right.
Look, I've had that mentality for a while.
You go.
Been wanting to win for a long time.
If you could be a hype man for any artist, who would it be?
A hype man?
Yep. Hype man.
For any artist. Probably, that's interesting. Oh boy. Michael Jackson.
That's okay.
Bruno Mars. I would be a hype man for Bruno Mars.
Same type of style like MJ. They kind of they all in the same little ecosphere. I would put them in the same little bucket.
Good energy, happiness.
Yeah.
That's a good choice.
Okay, good. I've never had that question before. That was interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to hear. We like to hear. I've never been asked that question before. We hear that, we know we're doing our jobs.
Yep.
Well, at least we're trying. Look, we're doing something right.
We're doing something right. Yeah.
That's something right. Okay, so your next one, your favorite pair of shoes.
My favorite pair of shoes are my red loafers. I love loafers. I also love wearing gym shoes. I can't believe I'm in a job where I get to wear Nike gym shoes whenever I want to. It's awesome. I'm a Nikeaholic. I have been since the 10th grade. I've only had Nike products. I'm all in on Nike.
Sound like me and Polo. That's how
I'm also all in on Polo. Those are my two brands. I almost wore a Polo shirt and I didn't know I could. That was awesome. People make fun of me because I wear collars. See, I knew we were connected.
I see. Check y'all out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Indiana vibe right there. That's what it is.
That's good style. I think it's good style.
Okay. One of the last questions we have is, if you had a chance to take over any organization other than the one you're currently at, who would you choose?
It don't have to be sports. It could be anything.
Yeah. It could be anything. It could be Chase Bank. It could be a nonprofit. It can be whoever. And if you can't answer, we understand as well.
Yeah, I think there are two things. I've been a Red Cross volunteer since I was 16. If I had the chance to be the president of the American Red Cross in Washington, D.C., I'd be all in on that. I love the mission of the Red Cross, alleviating suffering for humans around the world. It's what we do every day as volunteers in an organization. So that would be awesome. I would, if I wanted to make my life really hard, I would take over the NCAA for women and try to level the playing field a little bit for females in sports. And not saying that the people there aren't doing it, but if you ask me, what would I want to put my hand toward? That's how I answered that question. Like, where would I want to roll my sleeves up and work hard for a good mission? It'd be those two.
Those are both, of course, incredible. Top tier. Yeah. Like I would probably dub those the best answers we heard. And what do you think, Juwan?
Hopefully your listeners are blood donors, because with the Red Cross, we are in desperate need of blood donations. So,
well, you heard it there first, people. If you're into blood donations, if that's your thing, please go out and do so.
Yep. Every blood donor saves 3 lives. So there are very few things you'll do in a day that you'll save the lives of 3 people.
Wow, that's a good stat right there.
There you go.
Well, Allison, it's been a blast, but we do have one last final question for you. Where can people follow you at on social medias, just to keep up your career and kind of follow everything that you got going on?
Yeah, thanks. So on Twitter, I'm Dr. Allison Barber. At Dr. Allison Barber on Twitter is probably the best way, or follow feverbasketball.com. Would love for folks we stream our games. So in May, when our season starts, if you're in Fort Wayne, you can watch all of our games. We're the only team that does this. So on our Facebook page, Fever Basketball, you can watch all the Fever games, cheer your home team.
I did not know that. And I've been like tuning into the app. Look, I've been tuning into the app, watching it, I may watch it the next day, catch up on what happened. Okay. Or we just go down to the game, whatever the case may happen. You know.
We started streaming a year ago because when I took this job, I said we owe it to all of Hoosiers to let them know about their team. So we started streaming in all 92 counties so that everybody who wants to cheer for the, women's basketball team can see them. So even if, where I lived, we wouldn't drive down to Indy for a game, but I sure would have watched it if I had a way. So now everybody can watch it.
Well, that's outstanding.
Yeah. May, I'm going to be watching some games.
Good.
Right.
May. Let's talk before then so we can remind everybody.
Yeah.
So let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
That's right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's episode of Capturing the Game podcast. Please be sure to like and subscribe to all of our social media handles and pages. You can find us on YouTube at Capturing the Game podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at CTG_podcast. We're also on Instagram at Capturing_the_game_pod. Man, that's a lot to say. And but yeah, that's all of our social media handles. We love and appreciate, everyone reviews, the comments, the likes. It really means a lot to us and the ones that are producing it. But it just means a lot knowing that there's people out there listening or taking heed to what our guests are bringing on and talking about. Allison, once again, thank you so much. You are a gem, and definitely we're going to take it to the hoop.
There you go. Thank you very much. It was really a pleasure to be with you.